What's in it? What's that? I think I was spared during the war. Oh yeah, because my Hitler like we killed it. We didn't fight at all. The Nazis didn't follow it. No, you only. Because I tried to take Bianca out, she was like, I was waiting for her. Oh, interesting. I love this. Pat Reagan went for it. Fucking rejected. I like that. I didn't know. You want to play her a song? Go out with. Yeah. Josh Meyerowitz? Oh, wait for it. That's what a who that is in the room. Good job, Brody. I guess I won. Oh, yeah. Okay, Michael Fassbender. Wow, interesting. So you older. Wrinkles. This you forgive me. Like Michael Fassbender. Oh wow, now I know why she didn't go out with you. She just rejected going out with you again, by the way. If you can tell Bianca on why she should go out with you in 15 seconds. Don't. Fuck yeah. It's all Brian. Don't worry about it. Enjoy going back to Europe. Wow. Interesting. You're evil. Is this boyfriend gonna save you? You think he's gonna win? How much longer do you have on the visa? Very long. Wow. Interesting. A few months? You don't. Yeah, he's not going to save you, is he? You have a few months to go fucking crazy and find somebody that will in 2 months. Brian Redband is what. That's right. Are you are you ticklish? Oh God, Jesus, Brian. Yeah. It's like, I can't believe this has turned into the regular question. But, Jeremiah, try to tickle her. No, Jeremiah, don't do it. It's not like that. So Bianca, this boyfriend of yours, how do we get him to propose? You don't want to go back to the Czech Republic, right? Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, let's convince him. I don't know. Audience right now? No. Dude, if you had 2 months left in this country, you should spend every single second with you. You should be taken care of. He should absolutely marry you. He should totally marry you. He needs this advice from guys that haven't had sex with you yet. It's fine. I can't believe that fucking guy's not with you every single fucking minute. I would burn this whole place down for you. If you were my girlfriend, I'd make Tuesday just look at you day. Bottom line. He's fucking loser. The guy's a fucking loser. You need a guy who really appreciates you. Like the fine wine that you are, I'd sip you. I'd sip you all day. I've been that guy too, so I understand. I mean, but I really would tend you. I just don't think he's ever going to get anything better. I think he needs to check himself before he wrecks himself. Oh, shit. See what I did there? Shit, yes. He needs to marry a professional. It's a dumb audience tonight. Bianca, what else? Anything you want to say? You want to propose to him via live podcast right now? He might be punching you. What does he do? I love it. This fucking place is crazy. There's always an exciting feeling in this room. Fire hazard mode. You know what? Let's move to actually, let's get one more up here as fast as we can do this. What happens? guys doing? Yeah, I'm doing good. I just quit my job. Yeah. Who needs work? What food? Yeah, I'm gonna get a job. I started when I was a kid. All kids get like a forecast at home to them. They got really lettuce. God bless my mother. I can tell you're from like Boston or back east. Established, that's how your mom is. You know, I visualize following along. I get it, not surprised. You're a nice guy, and I can see you definitely like have a Boston, Toronto. You're a nice guy. Okay, that's a joke. Go ahead. Good. Yes, I'll take that as a win. This is not nice. This is not a nice town. But the joke was, they tell your mother that you're dyslexic and she's going to fix that. Oh my God, I'm sorry about that. It's like a behavioral problem. When it's really actually parents or neurological problem. Yeah. You say she's from Boston. She's old school. The phone rang. Yeah, exactly. How often is that? Be honest. How often when you do that joke does it get a lot? All the time. It's never failed. Really? Never failed. Never failed. Not once. Where are you performing at? For your mom. For your mom. Special Olympics. Yeah. You gotta start being. You slap yourself in the forehead in the middle of it. Who's laughing at this? It's crazy. And then you laugh. You don't hear the laugh, and it's like, wow, that was pretty nuts. Like, yeah. All right. I like your goal of giving you like a dinner gig in Boston or New York or Brooklyn. It's nice, Mom. Nobody got hurt or threatened with you. You want to see this out? Maybe the smack on the head, whatever we call that hack or whatever. It's fine. You know, what do you mean by you thought it was fun? I got the story. I understood it. But it wasn't like that. I know he had a minute, so more interested in helping you. So let's be honest. That's not a joke. Yeah. Radio. So you think Chuck Stevens like the whitest name in the fucking world. So that's kind of like it. Chuck Stevens. Oh my God. He died many years ago. From the news? No. No. But that's how we're not. That's why I'm Mark Stevens. I look at the positive. It wasn't joke, but I'd be very comfortable putting a man like a dinner show. What are you talking about? It's like time is lost. I know exactly what you're talking about. I lived in New York. I do. Mark Stevens. Every day. Don't feel bad, Mark. I have mental illness also. I've been coping since I came out. It's hurt my career. Mark the Shark 927 is what he is on Twitter. Bianca Christabel, by the way, Bianca Christabel, BIANCACRISTOBAOO. No W there. A-O at the end. Guys, this is the part of the show where we have our two regulars come up. They go brand new 60 seconds every week. Their names don't go in the bucket. They just do this. They write a new minute, they perform a new minute. This week's no different. Going up first tonight with a brand new minute. You never put the Dysentery podcast. Kill Tony. Your hands go for the one and only Sarah Wineshank, everybody.
What's up? Well, kids. Ugh. I don't know if I want to have them. I haven't made up my mind. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of having a daughter that comes out exactly like me. Also, a moth just flew off my wrist. We had to say it. We had to get that out of the way. So anyways, I'm afraid of having a daughter. Because I can't deal with two of myself. I need to have some little person that sees with a middle of the night, should be strawberries. So you mean to tell me it's like a woman?
About not wanting to have a daughter.
No.
It is true. It is sort of strange that the way that the human body did it, make it like a gun. How old is he right now? That's what they fear the most. That's been the elephant in the room. The one I was heating packs, and the answer is a lot, but money and big dicks, whatever, big deal. But no, some people don't like to laugh and come that much. But so what? The point is that you are inside. You're a very attractive woman, and I think that you're up, and I like be afraid and maybe embrace a little bit. You're good looking. There's this fucking weird thing in our society where if you're good looking or sexy or have that potential, there's a lot of women don't want to be doing just that, which I think is the biggest crock of bullshit in the fucking ever. They're very sexually repressed time period. You can't talk I want to fuck everybody. I walk around wanting to fuck strangers. And if a guy is really honest about that, which I always am, you're looked at as a creep. I may be, and you put a little creep in me. Sorry to go on this fucking diatribe. But just know that you do that to people, and that's a strength, not a weakness. So I love your persona. I think you have a lot of potential. I think you're pretty funny. But I think it's no big deal to embrace the fact that you're also a fucking good-looking, sexy woman. I feel like singing a song. I thought for sure that was going to end with "Will you marry me?" But I love it. Brody, anything for great? It's hard to come up with a week. I saw it. See it in a little bit. Your direction. It's true, and I think you might want to hit it a little more on the head. You know, what's the deal with that? Like, what's funny is the daughter being comedian at first beginning to where you know, like, took a second. Like, people that know you want that, people that know your style, like, help us, but to make it a little more, make it transcend that everyone's a brand new guy. You know, like, almost like, even though you would be what the deal is very is not wanting to do right now. And it's funny. I want to check. Meeting of the night with another brand new minute. Ever 6 foot on stage, talking everybody.
Thank you. I have a friend who's really wild. She's crazy. She loves to gamble. And by that I mean she fucks a lot of dudes without condoms. She told me the other day that she had sex with 4 guys at the same time. Like, that's a lot of dick, you know? Like, I started to think, like, one person's normal sex, 2 people's, like, maybe, like, one fun night out or something, like a crazy night. 3, all your holes are filled. But 4 dudes, there's just, like, one dude jacking off in the corner, like, tweaking a nipple. Like, what's he doing? That's just, like, that's like an overwhelming amount of penis, you know? That's it.
That's fine. Really? Nothing wrong with being that guy in the corner. Yeah. It's not a bad spot. Don't know you're there. Even when they it's like whatever. Something like change it up like this. I wanted to be surprised by like 3. Fourth guy's a gay guy, and he's like in charge of cleanup. When I did happy birthday, don't do that. love it. It was all on one. I love that. This is a very Kill Bill, Kill Tony centric one where I believe Brian Ray and Azuma Thurn in this. That's incredible. You want to promote 200,000 weekly downloads that we get?
I'll be in San Francisco June 25th, 26th, 27th at the Punchline. Come on by.
Ready.
Me, Saturday, I'm doing a corporate event in Scottsdale, and then
You got it. Performing at a dinner show on Friday.
I'm doing Tulsa, and then after that, nothing. I'm on vacation. I saved up, for the summer, so I don't really do much comedy anymore, but
I call it vacation when I don't get booked places. You got it. Pat Reagan is Patty Reagan on Twitter. Anything else coming up? Catch him every Monday here on Kiltonian and Roast Battle every Tuesday. Our sister show, Midnights, here at the Comedy Store.
as always, guys, check out my website, www.davidday.com.
All the updates. I don't know whether that's real or not, but either way, saying www is the stupidest thing ever. Like either the joke is that it's a real website or it's fake, but just say babydick.com and bomb a little bit less.
I have 3 slices of pizza if you guys want. Anybody wants?
Yeah.
They're clean, 3
You
slices.
should have offered them the pizza before the show. They would have liked you more, Brody.
Whatever they didn't like me, I'm just like my own. And that's kind of negative, but that's
Really at the last stop. Josh Martin, Amy Brinton.
don't hate on me. I do an hour show.
You got it.
I would do it if I was unhappy. Yell.
Good night, everybody.
I'm
Thank
not.
Welcome, Tony. How you living, big dog? Good day.
Hello.
Hello, you. Can you hear me? Oh, you can't hear me.
Yeah. Again, everybody. Another beautiful month like a real live show. We have some new people in the crowd staring at
Yo.
us.
Perché te cerco diciamo come sta quest'anno. Perché te non hai alla fine me la calma, cerco diciamo come sta quest'anno come sta quest'anno. Perché anche poi ma tutto bello andare. Insomma, io smile, I don't know, and I know, I don't know, perché anche poi ma tutto bello andare.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, audience. You guys ready for Monday night or what?
27. Don't even Crying. Alright, but is that the end of your story? No, dog, you got some shit to review. Like what? Thing? Why? Why not? Fuck. 57. Oh, fuck that shit. 3761 Pearson of the road. North of Adam, Chicago. 3631 136 son of Adam was born. 3526 235 Enosh son of Seth was born. 3436 325 Kenan son of Enosh was born. 3366 395 Mahalel son of Kenan was born. Oklahoma. What is it? Crocodile denial, him up on the shaking shot of the mistrust of God and obstacle at Haoma. Blessed be the Shem of God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning the counting of the Omer. Today is 26 days, which is 3 weeks and 5 days. Full one, rebuild the Bay McDush. May the merciful one restore unto us to its place speedily thy days unto us. This 26 names at 3 shit. I will that next. Asia.
I'm Dr. Justin Sledge,
Well,
and welcome to
what about Indian? I like Indian shit.
history or that Kabbalah
That
thing
big stuff.
at all. Of course, neither of these positions is really tenable. Such notions developed greatly through the ages and are
But I
still
want
developing.
shit.
And there are now. There are ways and numerous mutually exclusive schools of Jewish mysticism. Of course, century isn't meant to be exhaustive by any means, but only should serve as a springboard for deeper study and reflection, and hopefully it will also enable you to situate developments in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah in their historical and cultural context, and hopefully embolden you to dive into the primary texts, which are admittedly as sublime as they are obscure. Let me express my gratitude to Congregation Tria for allowing me to use these lectures to reach a larger audience here on Esoterica. If you want, you can find the entire series under the playlist Entering the Garden, an Introduction to Jewish Mysticism 2021, and you want to watch the entire playlist. If you find this series on Kabbalah interesting, I hope you check out my other content. Welcome to the second part of our 10 session walk through Jewish. All right, we're away from Kabbalah. It's still way off in the distance, so mysticism makes it certain that every agree with you that studies this stuff. So I'm going to define mysticism. It's like putting a target on my back. But it is as a non-rational, which one, an entire tradition of Judaism of what we'll call intellectual experience, but I trust that this person did, and I think that they're fundamentally right. So that's also, I think, another form of mysticism that actually doesn't involve mystical experience. And as I mentioned last time, Jewish mystics actually make up a minority of them. Many of the prophets in the Hebrew Bible are from all over. They're not necessarily Judahites. And we said that the two forms of mysticism that seem to have been prevalent in Israelite society at that time were folks who experienced theophany, that is to say, God showed up to them, God appeared to them, and spoke to them. And if you speak on the behalf of God, that makes you a Nabi, a prophet. Although sometimes those folks are referred to as Ro'eh, a seer. But the idea there that we have the idea that either those folks can see the future or they hear something from God and they communicate that to other people. And those folks we typically refer to as the prophets. And the most important theophanies in the Hebrew Bible, historically speaking at least, we don't think that the theophany described in Exodus, where God showed up to the Israelites and to Moses, we're fairly confident that that's a mythological piece of information, not a historical one. But we are relatively confident, many scholars are relatively confident that the prophets Isaiah and Ezekiel did have some kind of phenomenological encounter. In that encounter, they recorded in the literature of the book of Isaiah and the book of Ezekiel, respectively. Now, the idea that you might be wondering, right, how can you say that Moses didn't exist? Well, it's not about whether he did or didn't, it's about what we have evidence for. And we just don't have evidence, really, to believe that that happened. But we have pretty good evidence to believe that the experiences of Isaiah and Ezekiel were, in fact, recorded. And as we talked about last time, prophecy is very well attested all over the ancient Near East, with the weird exception of Egypt. Egypt is kind of prophet-free. Eagle sounds great. I don't want any prophets in my neighborhood. I don't want any guy walking down my street screaming at people because they're like, woe to the disbelievers, Yahweh is going to kill you all. I'm like, I'm going to call the cops on you again. So I don't want prophets. So Egypt feels like a pretty great place to be prophet-free. But at any rate, we saw last time that there are a great deal of prophets that live in the Neo-Assyrian context. We actually know a great deal about those other ancient Near East prophets. You also know that one of the things that happened in the ancient Near Eastern world were prophetic duels. They just didn't take prophets' words for granted because they kind of seem crazy. And they seem crazy. And Yahweh will protect them and give them land for them to have large families and agricultural surplus. Well, what ends up happening is that for various reasons, the Israelite state is destroyed, and the Judean state is destroyed. And as you might imagine, when your entire theology is found a sketchy investment firm, well, you got a new landlord. You have no longer a relationship with old landlord. Well, now you got to deal with other gods. And so the Israelites have some pretty complicated problems in their hands. And the pretty complicated problem on their hand is we predicated an entire theology on one system and it didn't work. Our God seems like either God is defeated or we're defeated, and what now? Right? What do you do now with the awkward relationship with your former landlord? What's going to happen is that prophecy, the idea that there are people speaking on behalf of Yahweh, what's going to happen is that's going to increasingly go away, right? And a new form of religiosity is going to emerge. And that new form of religiosity is going to emerge. It's going to be a new kind of mysticism. And that new kind of mysticism is what scholars typically refer to as the apocalyptic. All right. Tanakh pop quiz. But you know this was coming. So Tanakh pop quiz. This is a trick question because, of course, it is. You're in a class about mysticism. Does anyone here know, and feel free to put it in the chat, where in the Tanakh are the events surrounding the Hanukkah story recorded? So I see Ashley saying they're not. That's the
Daniel.
Answer that's the less wrong answer. You're certainly right. They're not recorded straightforwardly. Anyone know where the events of the Hanukkah story are actually depicted in the Tanakh? Not in the Apocrypha, like in the book of Maccabees, where they're literally in Tanakh, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, as you may know it. Everyone's like, why you ask me damn questions like this? I'm the one taking this class, right? So actually, it is not described It is, however, described encodedly. Encoded? Conquest of Syria, Judea, progressive, liberal-minded Jewish person. They're like, yeah, I'm celebrating the very people that would have literally the Taliban of Judaism. At any rate, we don't know why they don't finish. We don't know. They may have just died. It was a war, and the Maccabees didn't like people who could, I don't know. And so killed. They may have just gotten killed. And so we think about it is we now have a really good idea about when the book of the sections. They were written sometimes after the Maccabean revolt began. So we know it began around 160 and it concluded around 167. So we have a good idea about where that section of Daniel when it was written down. Now, why would people encode things strange language? Why would people encode things in weird symbols? Well, literature emerging, a new kind of religiosity emerging in the aftermath of the demise of the prophetic period, and that new kind of religiosity called. Also, by the way, describing current events as if they're taking place far in the future is what we call in the literature ex eventu prophecy. Did not predict the future. We'll talk more about the ones that tried and failed in a minute. But the vast majority of prophets who describe all kinds of weird things. I'm sure folks have read some sections from the book of Daniel or the book of Revelation, or it's always good stuff. When the eagle comes from the east and terror and terror follows, and the sun turns to blood, and you're like, what? No. They're not describing the future. They're actually describing using coded language, right? It's this what we call ex eventu. Well, because it might be politically expedient to be a little cryptic. Right? Because again, what is one of the things people like to do? Criticize the standard order. What this is about the future. Because the word apocalypticism has been filtered so heavily in Christianity, and Christianity does apocalyptic writers, most prophets, for that matter, in the Hebrew Bible, the Jewish tradition, don't do much in the way of trying to predict the future. They just don't. In fact, the most famous case where anyone tried to predict the future in the Hebrew Bible is in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 26, where Ezekiel made what at the time was the single most predictable prediction that one could predict. That is, Nebuchadnezzar would destroy Tyre. Well, he predicted that because Nebuchadnezzar was destroying everything, right? Predicting, right? It's like American imperialism will continue. Yep, it's going on, right? It's a completely normal thing to predict. And then they attacked Tyre, and it didn't work. Nebuchadnezzar was repulsed. And so Ezekiel himself actually has to come back later. He actually comes back in the same book and says, well, what I meant was, he has to reinterpret his own prophecy to explain the fact that he was wrong, even though it was a completely actually predictable thing. So making predictions, especially clear predictions, is a bad idea, right? Folks may know the very famous quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, right? It never hurts a prophet to be too big, right? If you predict blah, 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 career rests on that. Most of the prophecies, they don't predict the future by and large, right? And in general, by the way, that whole Nebuchadnezzar thing for people who are biblical literates is a real pain in their lives because they have to go back and explain why the Bible, why a prophet got it wrong, and then why a prophet admits he got it wrong, and then how we put a spin on it to fix it. And then they further spin it to further fix it. So Ezekiel wasn't totally wrong. Okay. Most Jewish of the world, in fact, when they do have the end of the world, they almost always lean on Hellenistic ideas. Those Hellenistic ideas, specifically the Stoic, smash everything at the end. Liberation, that the world would be ended, would be destroyed by a giant fire. A very common idea in the ancient world. And so, in many ways, themselves, just the popular ones. If you were to go to a Greek philosopher and ask, what's going to happen over there is going to go world? They're like, sounds reasonable. They went with that. So it's actually basically, it's not even really in some sense a Jewish idea as it is a Hellenistic idea. It's a Greek idea. So let's put some context on this, right? I'm going to say what the apocalyptic is in just a minute. I want to put some context on this. What you have to understand of the apocalyptic is a time period. It's a major breakdown in the theology of the time. As I mentioned earlier, right, this entire theology is built on what is called the Deuteronomic theology, which is again the idea that Yahweh and Israel have a covenant, and that covenant works in the way that the Israelites perform religious duties, and Yahweh gives them stuff, right? So it comes completely apart. Beginning in the 6th century BCE, the entire Judahite state is completely destroyed. There's just a serious problem. And the serious problem is, if the prophets were right, and if every single Judahite was massacred, well, that would have brought the prophecy to conclusion. Right? You broke the treaty, and everyone's dead. Right? And that would have been a very, I say neat, I mean, untidy, Roman gold above everything. But it would have been a very story theological. What happened? The Babylonians didn't kill everybody. They took the entire Judean aristocratic section into exile in Judea. And they kept on keeping on. Not in the land, right? Not in their own land, but in Babylon. And not only that, they had a good time. We have extensive records of the Jewish population living in ancient Babylon. And we know they were living relatively well. They weren't slaves. They had land. They had businesses, right? In fact, their life was so good in Babylon, in exile, that when the Jewish people were allowed to return to Israel, to Judea, by the Persians, many didn't want to go. to a wasteland to rebuild something, right? That isn't that in the middle of the Judean desert, and pressuring them to go back. So again, when we talk about the battling exile and weeping by the rivers of the Euphrates or whatever, a lot of those Jews were out weeping by those rivers. They were very happy to be in Babylon. And we know that we have records of them living. You don't believe in Yahweh? Like, the temple's been destroyed. What's going on with this Yahweh thing? The covenant doesn't make sense anymore. The covenant of theology doesn't make sense. Because there's the remainder that kind of settling that problem, right? The way it's settled is by shifting your theology, right? Never let a good catastrophe go to waste. You simply get it. And what ends up emerging is a new kind of theology. In fact, I might even argue that Israelite religion, a religion like biologically renovated religion that is much more like the Judaism that we might recognize now. So what happens is that they innovate. They theologically innovate. They develop a new theology that maintains the trappings of the old covenantal theology, but radically philosophically changes what it all means. And so Yahweh can't just be a God of everything. Not just God and what the other gods being existing out there in the world, like this is what we call theism, right? Your God exists, my God exists, but my God can be of your God. That's what the Israelites. Now, the new is not only God, your God's not real. There's just one God. Monotheism emerges in the aftermath of this catastrophe. So the God of the Israelites is now to be the only God, and that God is responsible for everything. And not responsible for everything, but responsible for planning everything. And everything that happens is according to God's prepared. So what also has to happen here, right? The Israelites changed the way they think about the ship to this. And the problem is to tell them what in the world all this means. We just have this covenant, and it's supposed to do like this, and this is supposed to happen if we keep it, and this is supposed to happen, don't. And we're still here. What ends up happening, what ends up emerging is that new kinds of prophets emerge in which God shows them the plan. Right? Again, the language here, right? The older prophets heard God and communicated what God said. The new kind of prophecy sees what God showing them
right? He communicates what God now, what percent takes don't have about what not been reconciled to is that the Jew with now, you have to understand that multiple giant temples, each of which is larger than the Israelite temple. It wasn't ancient Judahites did not have ancient Jerusalem was a backwater. It was a tiny settlement of 2,000 people, right? With that little temple there that was, Mount Aristotle is a relatively backwater people coming into contact with an incredibly old, incredibly literate, like, when they tried to right, diplomatic documents, they was the Babylonians. And they're in Mississippi, can't imagine with a very dynamic religion concordance. So when this is not clear, when people sound needs so religion that claims that a good God and an evil God are locked into a kind of battle for the destiny of the world. The forces of good are represented by non-physical spiritual entities, and those physical spiritual entities will throw the forces of evil into a neither world, right? And not only that, there are even Zoroastrian prophets who are given tours of the underworld. Those tours of the underworld filtered their way up to Europe, and we're fairly confident that Dante Alighieri was influenced by them. The Divine Comedy is probably being influenced by these tours of hell of the Zoroastrian literature. John, lead the forces of good against the forces of evil, and at the end of time, everyone will be bodily, right? And there is a massive set of literature, right, being composed by Zoroaster, and the idea that your relationship to Scripture is more important than sacrificing animals. Those priests, by the way, are called Magi. You may recognize the show to adore baby Jesus. At any rate, that should all sound pretty familiar to most of us. If you take a little jiggles or Zoroastrianism to it, shake it up in your cocktail shaker, pour in a glass, you have all the ingredients for a great cocktail of Christianity, or Islam, or Judaism. Now, again, many people detest the idea that religion. It began to exist primarily in Judaism, but obviously Christianity. In fact, Christianity what I mentioned here at the last, is the name apocalypsis, right? It comes from the word apocalypsis in Greek, which means to reveal or to uncover. And what's important about this literature is that what tends to group it all together is the idea that God is revealing something to the person, to the apocalypse. God's not speaking apocalyptic prophet, telling them, go condemn, I don't know, some king, like king, right? Go condemn us for being bad and being rich. That's the way a prophet like Amos worked. God spoke, and Amos went and said, right, woe to you people, cows of Bashan. No, here we have God revealing various kind of things to a human agent. And typically, that's mediated by a divine, semi-divine being, typically an angel. So an angel shows up and says, let me show you something. And what do they show them? All kinds of things. What kinds of things? Typically things like cosmology. Apocalyptic Judaism is very interested in how the universe works. If you've ever read the Hebrew Bible, one of the things that is weirdly missing in the Hebrew Bible is any discussion of vague discussions in the book of Genesis, but there's no real sense of what is the world exactly? Because they're not really interested in what is the world exactly, right? What's going on in Judaism with this king. So cosmology becomes very, very important in the apocalyptic mode of Judaism. It's ironic considering that most the apocalypticists are interested in the past. Is where did evil come from? That story in the book of Genesis never says that's where all evil comes from. And that's where everything went off the rails, right? The apocalypticists will be very interested in this. Also, they're very interested in the use of symbolism. Right? The Bible doesn't do much in the way of symbolism, right? But the apocalypticists will be very interested in symbolism. They're in fact virtually including their writing. And also, again, as I mentioned earlier, what they're happening in the future. That's going to tip off for an apocalyptic writer. Amos didn't encode anything. He called people cows for being rich. He's like, you people are bad because you're rich and God hates you. Like, he's not coding anything. Like, he's not like, and the cow will eat and become fat of the land. No, he's like, I hate you people, right? Also, they're really interested in is oppression. Very interested in oppression and tradition. Basically, why do bad keep happening to us? If our God is the only special relationship with this God, why did the Greeks just like whip our ass? Like, that's that thing. Like, we just get whipped by the road, like a bunch of us. Like, what's going on, God? Right? That's a real important question to ask, right? I mean, we all ask the sort of like, why do bad things happen to good people question? It's like, why did we all get wiped down, for most of us? We're very interested in why this tribulation is happening, right? And again, I say tribulation. The idea is still bad for a while, but for the apocalypticists to plan, and not only that, the apocalypticists claim to know the plan, right? They claim plan. They're also at some level interested in the end of the world. Right? Now, and I say end of the world, what we're really interested in is the righteous and the wicked being separated, and the righteous being rewarded, and the wicked being damned. There's none of that in Israelite religion. Everybody in Israelite religion wants the same underworld, Sheol. That's not the idea comes directly from God. So bad people get punished and the good people will get rewarded. That's the extent of how things are going to go down in the future. And of course, right? Why does that make sense? Well, it's because a lot of good people, or at least people they thought they were good, were suffering or they're also right. There's no good. But again, I think Marxism is a kind of apocalypse. He would hate that idea. But you can have literal and literary. Getting back to some of that anti-Semitism on the Jewish question. So anyway, right? Also, what's really important about apocalypticism is someone's going to solve it, right? Because clearly, if you look at the time period, it ferments a little while, becomes the fine wine of messianism. That some person, or persons, by the way, early messianism never agreed about how many it would be. Many people thought it would be two messiahs, and one of those would die, right? And another one would become a military general and win. So ancient Judaism was never clear about there being just one Messiah. Many sections of Judaism actually believe there would be at least two. So, right? Now the Christians fix that by like smart. Also, there's all kind of Messiah characters. Right? You know, good guy by the good guys, you're gonna have describe to you where you're gonna go when you die, resurrected. They want you really vivid depictions of the hellish world. And the afterlife. It's pretty motivating. Like, I don't want to go there. They like blow human excrement. What's that? Bad. Parent demons. Because this is like Menachem the dude down here, right? Manny wrote a book about the guy, the guy that like fixed their shoes. The hell does he know? Right? So, man, a shoe guy, the man was like, nah. People are willing to read your book. So let's talk about this literature, right? Let's get into what makes well, the first is historical and psychological. You're living as Judahites in a world of theological and political turmoil. Now, I don't like turmoil. And when my life is in turmoil, one of the things I think stupid, day is long, right? And you're still going to want to know what lies happen, right? Why I suffered through immense, and psychological turmoil, and think to themselves, okay, this happened, right? Most people don't do that. So why it's happening. They're right. Not that they want to explain happening for no reason. Having experience. Plan. And the apocalypticist has been revealed that plan. Lastly, a big part of this entire whole drama is that no one likes being colonized. No one likes being oppressed. No one likes having their country destroyed by foreigners. No one likes foreigners moving in and enslaving them. No one really about that is bad. Country. Boo Romans. Now Tiberius sucks. God shut. And that's interesting. Right? If you know, you know. If anyone who knew how to read this literature could read the code. They're like, yeah, the Romans, they don't get their ass whooped by this God and whoop their ass. And I'm like, yeah. And the Romans are like, what are you reading? No. Right? That was a way of encoding this. Now, how does all this work? God has to tell you. God has to reveal to you the plan. You, the apocalyptic prophet. It's the plan. It's the way the world is. God's structural world. History itself is unfolding. Very set rules set down by God. Everything is part of a plan. Everything is part of a plan. And the apocalyptic literature is marked by that revealing, that as you imagine, right? Where it all is. Right now, that is imaginable. And again, when I track this on the things like, again, folks may know, I wrote my it says propaganda as an easy to repackage apocalypse. Right? It reads very much like an apocalyptic literature. Dictation. For hundreds of years, one can even thousand years, beginning roughly about 350 BCE and extending all the way through the apocalyptic literature kept being produced. Christianity is in many ways an apocalyptic religion. It's a religion that more forcefully accepts with the exceptions of the Essenes. Those folks living at Quran or the they believe so much. to Judaism now the temple's destroyed? How do we move the temple into our home? Like, God's going to judge you tomorrow, right? So, in many ways, apocalyptic Judaism quite meshed with rabbinical Judaism. And again, I gave this one famous quote from the right. It says that for every time you try to calculate when the Messiah will come, God delays the coming of the Messiah. It's the years that you calculated in the future. The rest of this, right? When Rabbi Akiva said, right, that Shimon Bar Kokhba is the Messiah and will save us all, the other rabbis make fun of him. They're like, grass will grow in your cheeks before the Messiah comes. Like, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, grass didn't grow in his cheeks because he didn't get buried because he was burned alive for supporting the Bar Kokhba rebellion. So, sometimes it's truth mean, right? The apocalyptic is very, very dangerous. But it was incredibly popular. On the screen right now is a short list of all of the apocalyptic literature from this time period. If I were to grab a collection of apocalyptic literature off the shelf, it would be longer than the Hebrew Bible. An enormous amount of literature, right, was produced in the apocalyptic genre. Dozens of books that were very popular. For instance, at the Dead Sea Scrolls, more copies of the Book of Enoch than there are copies of Leviticus. Books. That's like the Torah. Torah. There are more copies of the book. Here, well, you invent further and further apocalyptic ideas about what's going on, and the persecutions are all part of the plan, right? Martyrdom becomes a thing you should rush into because it's part of God's plan, right? Part of God's plan. Of course, also in the Islamic, which occurs in the book of Daniel and is translated into the book of the Battle of Megiddo. Even the return of Jesus and the resurrection of the dead, these are all apocalyptic ideas that also occurred in Islam. So Islam is also deeply influenced, in some sense, an apocalyptic religion in itself. Judaism is going to increasingly abandon apocalypticism. And the answer to that is the same answer why the book of Rabbbi is not a good advice, right? And also, by the way, why the Hanukkah festival is not about the Rabbis, it's about a miracle. Rebellion after disastrous rebellion, retire that. The Roman so they said, we're not doing that anymore. And so you can imagine this literature really, it doesn't happen. Over and over and over. But they marginalize it. And eventually rabbinical Judaism, right, moves past apocalyptic literature. And very little of it gets produced. Very little gets in the aftermath of the 135 rebellion by Kokhba. But there is some, right? Attacks that do get produced, like the Apocalypse, the 10 Signs, and forgive Mashiach, and things like this. So literature does survive. Just to wrap up, folks, needless to say, Catholicism as a mode of religion, I would argue is the most enduring mode of religiosity in the world today. So enduring that apocalyptic ideas have entered even into things like Buddhism, right? Apocalyptic ideas flowing from this tradition have entered into things like Buddhism. Om Sharingo is a good apocalyptic quasi-Buddhist sect. You may remember them for having poisoned the subway system in Japan with sarin gas in the 1990s. That's part of an apocalyptic agenda. To this day, in a 2012 poll, nearly 15% of people worldwide believe the world will end in their lifetime. That's millions of people. That's hundreds of millions of people. That's an apocalyptic idea, right? And if exactly are a huge part of it. Again, of course, those folks, part of the reason they didn't stay in that building was an apocalyptic understanding of history. And of course, that probably led to them being massacred by the U.S. government. I'll hand the plane in too, but I do think that was pretty significant mismanagement. Form of mysticism is going to be next week called Merkaba. This is Merkaba, chariot mysticism. You also may know the word Merkaba because the Israelis have named a tank their equivalent of the M1 Abrams after the chariot of God, which seems to be for a lot of reasons. But at any rate, what I want to put on the grab these ISBNs, and I'm also going to share that in Collins' book, The Apocalyptic Imagination, is the definitive study of apocalypse. It's the book, right? If you take a college level class on apocalypticism, you'd be reading Collins' book. Interested in Christian apocalypticism, Bernard McGinn, the leading scholar in Christian mysticism, has written a really good book about apocalyptic traditions in the Middle Ages. Watching them. York, in the most amazing way possible. And of course, also John Reeves has actually covered through the middle of clay, mostly because it's not been translated, but Reeves provides a great introduction to that literature, which is also forms of apocalypse into Jewish apocalypse that survives in the Middle Ages. So, again, another form of mysticism that emerges from breakdown of prophecy, but renovates prophecy to do a phenomenal objectly different task, to show rather than tell that the universe and who, right, or as a non-Jew, maybe as a Roman, how you fit into it, right? And that form of mysticism, I think, is just incredibly important. Christianity, I mean, we all think this, Christian folks are predicting the world or whatever. None of them
Hmm.
Picture in the time we start the episode, the end of the episode, of the people on the show and what happened, and it's always insane, crazy, unbelievably well done. Short amount of time. What's happened? Now we have some gigs coming up. Stand up live in Phoenix in September. I'll be in Toronto, and I'm going to be in Toronto for Just for Laughs, guys. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce that yet. Whoopsie, I just did. And then maybe I'm not allowed to talk about maybe just yet. I don't know why I wouldn't be allowed to talk about it. That's probably Phoenix pretty big. So if there's some big deal happening in Kansas a month, I'm probably going to be there too. Fuck yeah, you see what I did there? Just confused this room with the Canadians right now. Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fuck yeah. So let's get it going, shall we? Every week I have two amazing guests on the show. This one, very special. Very excited to have these two on. So much. Fuck yeah, guys. Get on in. Hey. Here they are. Alex, your second time on the show.
Second time. I think I was too nice the first time.
Fuck yeah. I love that. We're gonna let it rip today. Awesome. I guess that means you're good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get podcast.
I wouldn't have signed up for this when you first started comedy.
Fuck no. Under no circumstances would I have ever signed up for this. I barely did open when I first started out. I fucking hated the entire process. I looked at one guy just started in San Francisco.
You know, instead of me asking questions, I like to leave it in somebody else's hands to ask our guests some questions. So I always have to have it in advance here because it's something that he might want to know.
Yeah, Matt, what you got?
All
Alright, well, first for Austin, my question is, I got this theory, this uneducated theory that recycling is bullshit. And do you think recycling does good for the planet? I think he burns it in his backyard.
I burn things. Yeah, I just create huge bonfires. No, I think recycling is probably a good thing. I would encourage people to recycle. That's what I would say. Go out and recycle. I never know where the fuck to do it. Though. Where do you? I never see any. There's no like in my building. There's no green. Cans or blue cans.
Goes to the same place.
But here's what I do. So I have about 5 plastic.
Chinese lady
And
and
just
fucking
give them to her.
open up her car door. And
Now
goes,
drink this tonight. And then
hey,
go.
Pat, you sick to fucking playing songs and not asking shit questions?
Yeah. A 3-point range. Pretty fitting.
You know the difference. You know that we get used for each other on the day. Like anytime I'm off doing something, there's a U.S. News and World Report article. Austin Pompey was in Virginia today, and fucking just a picture of him, and I was there. And
it's like you with a beard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're completely different. Like, you know,
you have excellent taste.
yeah.
You guys are both brown.
Wait, what? that's you think that's the reason why? Because
I think so. I think that's all
a shade of brown. Like I've even been mistaken for Wyatt at times in New York. Yeah. I actually he's the black guy on the show. Or was up there. But you know, Wyatt had a huge afro and like a long, and it was like, I think, you know, white people panic when they see brown people and they don't know, like, what would happen. I think what happens, here's what I think happens. They see you, they know that you're not me, but I'm the name they come up with in their head. So you're awesome. Like, they just throw out a name of one of the brown guys, hoping that it will land.
Awesome. Look, I know I do. I go, fuck you, and I walk away. So
I did that one.
I'm glad you know the difference between us, but what is your question for me?
Okay, Al, and I don't want to come at you from a place of hostility.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Slowly drained of every ounce of confidence.
My super experienced
Right, just totally hooks up. He wants you guys to like him so much, and every other guest that I say weeks, and they just leave my guy. What's your question for Al?
So this is very unique perspective. I feel like all the money charities just goes lining with people who run charity pockets. Do you think charities are bullshit?
A lot of them are. A lot of them are. A lot of people are in their pockets with their, you know, basically self-worth. All that I watch all these. Look, charities do it for me. Like charities. But I think what I know that Wyclef Jean or whatever. Yeah, a lot of them are fucking shit. a musician. You're a musician. Sound like a guitar comic. Yeah, but. No, I'm a musician. Okay. You're a guitar. Come up and shit on me playing guitar. It's like, that's what I do. I write songs. We know. I'm a songwriter. I'm up here. And I don't know how. I don't know, man. You did it tonight. Just know that before we move on right now, which is about to happen right now, you did it here tonight. I'm just trying to get in shape for whatever come up. Other band leaders, you just like other band leaders, you just gotta laugh. It's sheer. Yeah. Just, that's all we fucking want. That's all we want. That's all we need. And it's okay if somebody else asks. That's why he's my band leader. Slapping it left. Nice. There it is. That's it. And he can play a chord. That's all you gotta do. I feel like we could destroy Pat Reagan all night, but. Out the comedian. Instead, let's do that. Over 30 comedians signed up for the opportunity to do 60 seconds of fire tonight. This is you young or old, just started. It's always crazy. Comedians, you know your 60 seconds is up when you hear that. Sound of the comedian. Well, that means wrapping up then. Wow, there you go. They wonder why the speaker system's broken every week. Because of 3 seconds of bear roar. Come on, let's get this thing started. Are you guys ready? It's Kill Tony 111 or something like that. Something insanely ridiculous. Here we go, everybody. Your first comedian tonight goes by the name Here we go. Goodness. It was like, it's hard to find a man, but did you have to marry the first guy that knocked on your door? Let's wait for a salesman. Let's get some Encyclopedia Britannicas or something. Grateful to have a dad. I don't care. There you go. That was his time. Thank you. Oh, man. Certainly got all the beats down. What made you want to become a stand-up comic? It's just an exercise. Exactly. That's what I thought. No, it's not. I like comedy. Oh yeah, whatever. So. How do you? Yeah. That's what. Tell us. Working out? No. Josie, in LA. as far as I'm concerned. People who can't do that decide that this is something that they can do for a career. And it helps them if they fucking start to achieve, you know? And it fucking kills me. And so, I appreciate that you have the fucking beats and the tempo now. But, I mean, one of the balance me out.
I'm just saying, like, this guy doesn't. Oh, you're gonna do comedy. You know.
Why don't you know how long you'll be in here? Oh, like almost more than 300.
Wow. I'm not going here. I'm staying right here in this call.
That's right. One day we could have you because you're so amazing. Be exciting.
That'll be fun. I'm in the weather things this got my weather coming to my area. Nah.
Well, stay safe and
Say something with the weather.
stay dry, my man.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, good.
My softball practice it's gonna rain.
Oh, you had a game cancellation?
It's the bad weather.
Okay, well then you need to stay safe.
Yeah.
You'll be fine though.
Yeah, I have somebody, I have somebody get me through to get me through the weather.
Yep. Well, I'm here to keep you company, big man.
Yeah.
If you need
I got
anything,
Mr. Courses in here listening.
yes, ma'am. If you need anything, I know you will, big dog.
I'm always in here.
Yes, you are, and I love it. I love it more than just about anything in the world, my friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Excellent.
Yeah, because that social life is not a fun place.
No, it's not. This one is. We're always doing something fun.
Yeah, I heard you had a podcast.
Yeah, I did a podcast yesterday, and I'm a lot of work for me that's like tedious, boring, and so they make things more efficient.
Oh, I don't know why my camera's doing this now. My, my, my camera on my picture of my. And it's one on this end.
Oh, which one?
There he is.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but it's working. I got to work.
I see an
Yeah.
in
I'm in here on the street. I'm always in here on the street in NBA, soccer.
everything.
You should
You're Mr. Sport.
Mystery Sports guy.
That's right.
But I'm the one. She's sports.
That's right, my friend.
Hopefully, I'm going to be a sportscaster.
Very well. You
Brought to the radio.
that's right. Your girl Yes, sir.
I get screen text. Weather.
That's cool, my man.
Don't turn that. What? If the rate's cool all in there, because it's going to what? Because it's going to get bad.
Okay.
It's not the grind like you, sir.
I can't fucking take it anymore. See you later. Bye. Cameron Brex. Everybody, there he goes. It is frustrating, isn't it? Like, I don't like it.
I know you, sir.
I can't fucking take it anymore. See you later. Bye. I don't like it. I don't like the fucking actor turned stand up. You're right. No stand up's the other way around. That's fine.
Each his own.
The state issue tattoos that my girls have. Yes. I just flew into town and boy are my arms tired. I decided to strangle a baby the entire flight. Anyone else ever have to mercilessly just... What's the deal with airplane food? It's always crying and screaming for its mother. Right? Well, okay, wow.
Non-funny. Right? That's great. Get up here. It's not easy and to, dress the way you dress. And what is that? What's that? I'm wondering if it's part. It's the whole package thing.
Yeah,
It's the
really interesting. Not a lot of people fully dress like a school shooter, but you really pulled it on those pockets, right? That's the only time a white kid like hoodie or is
now here.
No, I don't think anybody should be looking too slick. That was the problem with the first guy. But yeah, a little bit. That's why I saw you sitting in the back with that other.
everybody a musician?
To be a stand-up comedian. And then do any like you purposely like get laughs? Is that your thing? Like you're just gonna go? No, I've seen it happen. It's a device that a lot of people use, and so you're gonna yeah. So you intentionally are trying. Start mocking.
So it's a little awkward. I don't mean to mock stand. I usually did that.
Yeah, 1 minute again. I'm gonna. Did I tell the story last time I was here when the guy gave us 3 minutes? I told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't even do 3. Don't know how you're doing this, but balls for everybody that do this. So, but you just enjoy.
I think it's good to.
Yeah, but you seem like you're a funny guy in your band, whatever. So you're a funny guy, right? You sort of look like this Macy's.
Geometry.
Oh no,
I think that's just, it's just something about right off.
you know what? It's up to your. Oh man, like right now you're talking. No, of course. I was trying to push everything for time. I was just trying to find.
On set to do a half an hour, and nobody understands it. fuck you're saying in half an hour, then it's not worth it.
But I'm just trying to, what I'm trying to get you guys is it does go well for you sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, but like, what's your you have great sense. 75
For anybody,
Yeah.
75%. 95?
Is anybody
Great.
Yeah.
Everybody has a room.
Send the bar low. Is anyone seeing him out doing spots?
I didn't recognize
Because what do you guys wear? Ties and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Okay. This guy. Robot. Screen. There's a robot. There's a robot. So, would you prefer that went well? Like, if you could turn it off? Yeah.
I feel like the one that's always sucked, as you may have seen, is stand-up, which is why I've worked on it for so long.
how long.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
But see, what happens is live and everybody else can. So, yeah.
All right. Sean Hart. Sean Anthony Hart. Cameron Drexler from AFX. There you go. A guy who's been doing stand-up 13 years.
Everyone.
The guy before him has been doing it 7 years.
Crazy.
That's what I love about this show is somebody that's been doing it for 2 weeks. Now to come up here and murder right now.
Well, can I just say
so bad when
Can
they're
I
on
say
the
this
floor.
real quick? But they've been doing so much other shit. So
Not even 5 feet when she walks past, he nudges me and ruins that pussy. And he keeps walking. 2 things. One, it's completely disrespectful. And the other, why would you want to ruin a pussy? Why would that be your goal in life? Like, it brings joy and happiness to millions of men. Why would you do that? It becomes a vagina. And no. So, I haven't gotten laid in a long time. Not 1 week of values, 1 week of barely laying it out. I really like the 1 week joke. Didn't get a laugh from anyone, but I would have laughed if I was a human being in the audience. The vagina joke, dude. Also, I saw what you're getting at. It's not like a word that you could use. It sounds more. Or style, like,
Yeah. I was gonna say, go.
But the birds and the bees are first.
can we back up?
stand-up. He
dresses like a stand-up. He acts like a stand-up. He has material like a stand-up. This stand-up. Well, it's very joke. Dave Chappelle does a very similar joke about he said beat that pussy up, and watch that and see what he does with it. Pretty funny. Dave Chappelle. But like that just will sort of show you where you got. Had one using a dick instead of no one wants to sign. Yeah, so that's really fun.
Where at? I'm on the West Coast. I know that.
So I would go with very stuff about the return.
Don't write with the green crayon. Do you think one of the reasons why you don't get laid is because when you're signing a check on a date, you pull out a green? What's the deal with that? What's the story with the green?
Well, I just stole it man off my roommate's table.
I think the reason I don't get laid is usually out the door. Out the door. Really? Works.
Doing it. Where do you live? What are you trying to do? Every night, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of
How many spots you do on like a week?
10 a week. I am trying to do 2 a night, but it's like much south where you work. Where are you working? I work at Home Depot or something.
That's great. A black guy. You have a college education from Ohio State. You're working at home.
Yes.
That material, that's like a half hour worth of shit.
What do you do at the Home Depot? I start to work. Wow.
It's getting better and better. It's just like you ever have to use the word vagina in your got all this great material.
Yeah.
Especially since you know a lot more about doors than you do vagina.
Right. Exactly.
I think that was productive.
Yeah. I do have a problem with your
close that. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. People can do good, and they're new. We had a girl on last week that had only done it 7 times ever. She fucking murdered 10 punchlines in 60 seconds without rushing it. It can happen. And maybe this person will do it. So I can show it for Kayla Crawford. Kayla Crawford, buddy. Oh, uh-oh. Oh. Crawford,
You know what that means?
she just got blacklisted.
Good job. Have you seen William Larkin?
The middle of the audience, William Larkin.
Can I stop you to start?
Fuck yeah, William Larkin.
What did I say?
Al Madrigal really won that set. You stole that set from him. I look at your amazing I love how Al's like, you know what, I was too nice. It was on the show. And then all of a sudden, Andres says that you're the first comedian ever to just get the complete nod of approval.
This is who we like. Big eyes.
What else?
You might. I'm not saying no. I want to know. That's the thing. I think you're onto something there because I would, as an actor myself, I feel like it would help you. I think your material is funny. I think you could project a little bit.
Okay.
And you could make a little bit more eye contact.
Oh,
A little bit more of a stage presence.
I love him just as weird as
I know. No, I think it'll still be weird. It'll still be was surprised about the whole thing.
Wow.
Is she here? When you said that,
I didn't know that Wild Giant is married. How old are you?
It's night, okay? We didn't start Phoenix? I know I started in Phoenix. Oh, where? Kind of black.
Dan Burstead.
I feel like it's
Crazy.
I like his honesty. I work on that.
Thank you.
You work in a lab?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Lab. Pathology. Super boring. So boring. Told myself because I need my.
What do you do? A lab?
I'm a PA.
Fucking better for this guy. I'm telling you, he works well for fucking lab. Exactly. I'm telling you, if you have an agent or a manager,
Well, you do now, kid. Welcome to show business.
Hollywood, see? You will in no time. Good luck to you. Keep doing. How many spots are you doing a week? To be honest, I did a lot and then work with the fucking time. Just like, yeah. Less than a year.
Where's the
What does she do?
She's the school teacher. Fucking, I'm still convinced.
What does your wife do?
She's a CNA. She works with.
Jeez, look at you two. This is a couple fucking heroes, huh?
Yeah.
She look like a big baby too. You guys gonna go to sleep together? Put each other in the crib? Fucking.
You can say your wife has a booty face. I didn't show you that.
No. Give a shovel.
What did you say? She said she's chubby.
She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Wow.
I love you.
Right now, she on you listen, huh?
I love that Periscope, man.
Were you from LA? Where you from? Oh yeah. And how long have you been here?
You know why?
Ah.
Sure, that's right where the comedy store is. So I had to come down.
Yeah. Hey, another night in from William Larkin, everybody.
But that's another reason why you like them. Where you fucking, ladies and gentlemen, let him hear it.
William Doors.
Hey,
23.
everything was
allow it. I know I won't question it. My beer yesterday. All right.
There's my parents. My relationship, especially with my dad, but he is still my old man. So my life
Your fucking assassination.
Wearing an adult shirt.
Yeah, every time, let me update you.
Yeah.
Every time he's been on the show, 5, 6 times, I feel like he's crushed. And he always wears a shirt that says @TamFanComedy on it. He has his Twitter handle on his shirt.
No.
So the people saw him for the first time not wearing that shirt, and I could tell him in the crowd seeing him, and everybody's been sort of crazy because everybody's been telling him to stop wearing the fucking shirt.
Like a marketing person that do stand-up comedy, you fucking Twitter and all that shit, but don't let it overwhelm you, distract you from what the real mission at hand is, and that's doing as many spots as you possibly fucking can, and all this other shit, and your Twitter handle, I just put Twitter off my phone, I fucking hate it, and I know I'm talking to Brian, you could fuck up on, tweet nuts. But it's fine for some people, stand-up comic, just do that, write material, you're doing a good job. I think all that shit, the self-promotion, is just fucking 2 cents. Shut the fuck up about it. And
having said, I thought
very funny, that's what
people were laughing the minute he walked up on stage.
But that stupid shirt that you wore with the Twitter handle makes it seem like you're just
He's not wearing the shirt, he's still getting roasted.
you gonna burn all those fucking shirts? Like you can't.
But you also have to find a shirt that fits you. So you don't have to wear that shirt. You're just wearing, the child shirt.
With the Taylor Heat shirt. You gotta be fucking. If I could upload like that, Austin. Tam, how long have you lost the shirt for? When did you lose the shirt? Just for tonight, or?
Once it started getting over 90 degrees.
Wait, that was a t-shirt, now you're wearing more clothes. Right. Yeah. You're wearing 2 layers. Started shirt, but it's
Sweater or what was it?
you know what
they dropped tremendously. It doesn't matter. And you just fucking so again, people are gonna take you more seriously. I mean, it doesn't have your foot. So what? Any questions? Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Oh, Cam, get the fuck out of here. Wow.
Cam, being a brown person, can I just say, being a brown person, I didn't want to lead into the whole like sort of Asian stereotype thing, and then he asked me that fucking question. And now I'm like the Asian guy asked me about the last Airbender. Like that's
Unbelievable.
what do you want to know about it?
Man, I can't believe he went for it.
Yeah.
I really did.
Policy move.
He really threw you under the top of the train on that one. You fuckers. All right.
Jam
Jam comedy. Everybody see him at the Ice House on Friday. Brian goes in the next spot. It's like another new.
Hey.
So I went on this blind date the other night and everything was going really great and all. Because the houses don't clean themselves, and sandwiches don't prepare themselves either. Hashtag feminism. Yeah, that's all I got.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Absolutely love this. So this is going to be like, a real, very extremely structured episode of Kill Tony with the two Daily Show correspondents on it. And it's
I know.
broken it down, and I fucking love it. I couldn't be any happier about it. The scene, it works. I'm gonna stand strong with my channel. Stop. Holy fucking shit. Christine, how long have you been doing stand-up? How many times have you gone on stage? 4. Something you always wanted to do?
No, I came here to be an actor. And
Fuck yeah. So you came here to be an actor. What happened? How long have you been in LA?
3 months.
Did you act anywhere?
Well, I've been taking classes in Austin. I did like a few things, and then apparently I have really great hands, so I became a model. And then I realized my career was going nowhere, so and then I'm bumming. That's great.
No, it's okay. You have to do that. But I just don't see why you actors don't just fucking act.
Well, because let me explain something to you. It's hard.
That wasn't funny. I think that it's just a case of
He's being polite. He was horribly unfunny. The worst stand-up I've ever seen in my entire life. But
Thanks.
The good news is,
yes, there is a positive side. Is that you're getting distracted from the mission, and that's it.
I have a better job for you, actually, than even acting. Ready for this? You're ambient now. You are ambient.
What the fuck just happened in this film? Because you just tried to, you gave a very heartfelt, sincere.
Heartfelt. Are you ticklish? Okay. You just had to do it, didn't you? But I get the feeling that this extra 20 seconds you would have had to have done. I feel like maybe you would have turned everything around. Are you sure you don't remember?
Do you really think that?
No, but I can't see it. It's like watching a GIF of a train wreck right now. You've only been on stage 4 times. I mean, so even if you want to really try to do comedy, you have to make sure you have jokes. That first joke, I didn't understand what the
Question again. Just,
No.
just say it.
But this is when you're acting from now on, you'll always be able to reference this moment when you're always, and if you ever forget, just watch the video of this. That's going to be out to hundreds of thousands of people.
Fantastic.
It'll remind you. But you're very nervous. Fourth time on stage, almost did better than the guy that's been doing it 13 years.
That's true. I mean,
What are these photos, by the way? You guys can fucking stop with that shit. You want to go, go down to the Laugh Factory. Go watch some good old fucking Christian comedy. Pieces of shit. Who owns How the fuck? Listen to yourself record every sentence you do. That you can be like sober and you go.
I don't know. I just feel like my taste is a little like okay. Most of the jokes I have are a little too dirty to be like up here.
They want